Okay, this is episode 2 of Thoughts from the Courts. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm actually on a full-length basketball court. Yesterday was just a hoop. Anyways, this particular video goes out to my BIPOC, right? Black, indigenous, people of color business owners. Especially those who own restaurants, combination a bar, restaurant, and a lounge, and who do hookah or shisha or whatever word you like to use for it, and who cater primarily to millennials, BIPOC millennials. My question to them is, why are you risking your business? This situation with the QR codes and the vaccination cards is temporary. It's not something that's going to be forever, right? Just like when people come up to your club, they have to, show their ID to prove how old they are, and they live here and all of that other nonsense that your ID shows. Well, technically your government issued ID, whether it's an ID card or a driver's license, just shows your proof of age, right? Picture, proof of age, and everything else. The club doesn't really care what your address is. But last night I went to 3 different places that are BIPOC owned, right? And they cater to BIPOC millennials. And what I witnessed was something that I expected to, right? But I was somewhat surprised. Not shocked, but surprised that these people, these business owners who I know, are actually risking their business because they're not following the government guidelines, the rules, the regulations, the ones that can get you fined, get you closed, get you charged. And when you're located on Portage, the cop shop is down the block. And after 10 p.m., they start doing like drive-bys between Portage and Maine, where a lot of clubs are, right? Up to, let's say, William, right? Down to Arlington, and they come around in circles because they're looking for crime. It's after dark, right? And you have a lot of BIPOC people who live downtown. And at the end of the day, those are the people who go to these places, which is fine. I understand you need to make money. You want to make money, right? And you want to maximize your money, which makes sense. But you know what's amazing about money? Twofold. When money doesn't matter when you're dead because you can't spend it. And money doesn't matter when your business is closed because you can't make it. So why not follow the rules? Follow the rules. Because it's simple. What's going to happen, right, is you're going to have a lot of people, BIPOC people, who, by the way, go outside and smoke weed on the sidewalks in front of these businesses. So they're going to attract attention. You know what the amazing thing is? When you smoke weed outside on the sidewalk, it's $682 fine, right? You can smoke all the cigarettes you want. It's free. But if you smoke weed on the sidewalk, they'll give you a $682 fine. Now, the cops don't necessarily or aren't necessarily enforcing it. But if all of a sudden it's almost the end of the month and they decide, well, they're going to be punitive, they start ticketing people. So if you have a bunch of BIPOC millennials in front of your business smoking cigarettes and getting high, right, and going inside and smoking shisha, which I don't understand because it seems kind of redundant to smoke shisha inside but have to go outside to smoke weed and smoke cigarettes. All of those things are legal. But for some reason, shisha is okay indoors, but weed is not. Cigarettes are okay outdoors, but weed is not. And why do you think weed is not? It's because of Brian Pallister. See, Brian Pallister thinks weed is a dirty drug. He thinks the people who smoke weed are dirty people. They're BIPOC people. See, where Brian Pallister lives, in his world, they snort the white man's drug, which is cocaine, right? But BIPOC people smoke weed, which is actually a myth and a lie, because the majority of people who smoke weed in this country are Caucasian. Because there's 70% more, there's 70% of them and 30% of the rest of us. So there's more of them, which means it's more likely that they smoke more weed. I ask my friends who are dealers, and they tell me all the time, right? They can't get a license to open a pot shop, right? Because every pot shop in Winnipeg or in Manitoba is owned by somebody Caucasian. Because at the end of the day, but even though Justin Trudeau legalized weed federally, Brian Pallister got to decide how to regulate it provincially. And he put it to liquor control, which means that the government can maximize their money, right? So at the end of the day, if you're going to stand, if you're a BIPOC business owner, like you own a bar, a lounge, a restaurant with or without a patio, and the majority of your customer base, right, is a bunch of BIPOC millennials, meaning black, brown, red, or yellow, or black, indigenous, and people of color between the age of 18 and 40, and you're not following the rules, the laws, the regulations, whatever term you want to use, there are three things that are going to happen, right? First of all, you're going to get a fine, which I think is $5,000. Second of all, you're going to get a criminal charge, because like Audrey Gordon said, we're going to use the criminal code to deter people from not following the rules. And third, they're going to shut your business down. And when they do that, right, that means no more money. So follow the rules. It's simple. You check their ID to check their age, check their ID to check their status, and make sure when they're in your place of business and are not physically distancing or socially distancing, which is a stupid term because we're socially distancing right now because we're using technology. That's social media, social distancing. What the important thing is about COVID is physical distancing. So they're not physically distancing, they're drinking, they're smoking, and they're talking, right? Which means it's a super spreader event. Come on, people. Do not risk your livelihood. Don't stop thinking short term, right? Because at the end of the day, all of this is going to end. When, we don't know. But it is going to end. And the most important thing, to make money, you have to be open. Right? Like Arabian Dreams got $20,000 worth of fines last month. But they're stupid. I know black people know better. So smarten up. Right? Follow the rules. Because liquor control is the one who's like who comes and does like the checks and everything and hands out the fines. But liquor control can also call a cop, right? To arrest you, to charge you, and to close your business. So, liquor control or the police. Choose. Or making short-term money. Long-term. Start thinking long-term.